Welcome everyone. For starters, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for attending and welcome to Out of the Box Milan 2025. We're going to be here all day with a lovely run of panel discussions throughout the day, covering various amounts of topics. So please do attend this panel, but also come back for future panels. To start off today is a readily rising part of the industry, something that has really become a huge focal point of La Marzocco Global, and home machines have really become a really huge part of what we do now as a company. So we've decided to start the panel discussions today with talking about the rise of Espresso at home. To run us through our first panel, we have our Director of Home for La Marzocco. We have Dave, so I'll hand it over.
Check. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Quick question, how many people have a home machine here? So a couple, okay, great. No, I'm just kidding. Everyone, looks great. So I think today we're not gonna spill any business secrets, but rather the secrets of these three great people sitting up here with us. So maybe introduce yourself, why you're sitting up here, and also maybe a fun fact or what your setup is, what machine are you using. We'll go ahead and start, yep.
Hello everyone, I'm from the UK, my name is Steve Booker. I've been a full-time content creator for over 10 years and coffee's always been kind of part of my online narrative. 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, I launched something called Café Nice, which is essentially a specialty coffee shop on wheels. I've restored a 1991 Range Rover Classic. So a coffee bar pulls out the back so I can kind of be mobile, pull up anywhere and deliver delicious coffee wherever I want really, and I have a Linear Mini which is fantastic, yeah.
And what's your Instagram handle?
Steve Booker or Café Nice.
Hi, my name's Anthea Turner. I've been in the media in the UK for too many years really. I think it's about 35, something like that. I am probably new to the coffee culture. Remember that I was a kid in the 1960s and I thought a cup of coffee was a spoonful of Nescafe, and if you wanted an espresso you just put 2 spoons of Nescafe into the cup. I have obviously over the years, like everybody else, embraced social media. I know sometimes it gets a bad rap, but I think it is tops when it comes to getting messages over, positive messages. You obviously think that very much, and I most definitely do, and I'm sure we'll talk about that between us a little bit later.
Great transition. Hi everyone. First of all, I'm very excited to be there. I'm sorry for my English skills. You know, I'm French.
Oh, never mind.
No, I will try to do my best. My name is Guillaume, aka Le Photographe du Dimanche on Instagram. I do it for you.
I can't do it. It's impossible.
And I'm a food and beverage photographer and video maker based in France, working all around my country, in England, Italy, Spain. I'm so lucky. It's been 7 years now. And as all of you guys and ladies, I'm a coffee lover. And I really love to share that special moment with my friends and family. It's very special to me, but we will talk about it later.
Everything's later, not now. I love it. That's my job. I can ask those questions, so I appreciate that. I'm looking at you. You said, you know, the idea around coming from Nescafe to arguably one of the coolest coffee setups that you have. Could you talk about how you kind of designed your home around what you would call, I would say the Linear Mini, but the idea of what you've looked at, the well-being of your home, and what does that look like for your community?
Absolutely.
And also how you kind of projected that out to the digital world?
Well, it started off with actually Mark, my partner, who's sitting over there, who is half Italian and the other half American, so we're all okay here. And we designed a kitchen. Like everybody designs a kitchen at some point or other, or puts a kitchen together, however you do it. And we always knew we were going to have a coffee machine. And it wasn't going to be any old coffee machine. We knew it would be a state-of-the-art coffee machine, a thing of beauty. So when we designed it, we kept on saying to the various people we were working with that the coffee machine is going there. Oh, no, but can we just talk about the fridge? Yeah, that's fine. And then there's a sink there. And I think this is what happens when people design kitchens. They think about everything but the coffee. So as a bit of a joke, we kept on calling it the altar of coffee. And it truly has turned out to be an altar of coffee. I did something just for a laugh, really on Instagram, talking about my altar of coffee. And the wonderful thing you two will know about Instagram is that thankfully there are a lot of lazy journalists around nowadays, because nobody gets paid as much as they really should do to be a proper journalist. So they have to get their stories by thumbing through, they look through Instagram, what can I get some ideas? And so thankfully, I noticed that quite a few home lifestyle journalists had picked up my altar of coffee and used it in their copy. And it started to become a little bit of a thing. As I say, it was just a bit of fun for us, but it truly has, I think, started to get legs. And I've noticed as well that people are prioritizing their coffee machine. The only thing is, you can't do it with an espresso. You have to have a coffee machine that's a thing of beauty to have an altar of coffee. It cannot be something that's shoved up in the corner next to the kettle, and if the teapot, it has got to be something that you prioritize. Because I know that when people walk into our kitchen, they look at this altar of coffee and obviously worship.
Do you want to mention the Mark story on his way home from the gym? He does.
Well, yes, because obviously we know it's all controlled by an app. Everything's controlled by an app, and
Apple Store, Android,
of course,
download
absolutely.
it.
So for a little while, Mark couldn't quite work out when either myself, if we were at home, myself and the dog seemed to know when he was coming home. And so he would be on his bike, he'd be thinking, oh, I'm about 20 minutes away from home now, I'm just going to put the coffee machine on. Bing. Of course, it makes this lovely noise. The dogs, we have a French bulldog, his ears went up. I knew he was coming home, so if I was doing anything I shouldn't be, I could have time to tidy up and sort things out. And anyway, through the door came Mark. And for a while, he couldn't realise. And then I did let on. I said, but we know, because we can hear the coffee machine come on. I don't use the app, so we'd never heard it the other way around. So
I love it. No, I love it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. So I know, we're quite proud of that, but especially the dog who sits at the door then with his ears forward, waiting for his master to come home.
It's an interesting thing. And I think I look at you because I've never been more obsessed with affogatos in my entire life until after I watched all of your Instagrams around how you kind of curate these moments. And I'll be honest, I'm more of a Campana fan myself, but there's a lot of affogato drinkers here. And so do you want to talk about how you curate these moments via social, but also curating moments in the home? And how do you do that transition from kind of what you're showcasing with the craft and the beauty of what you're trying to kind of showcase through your micra and your affogatos, but also what are those coffee moments? What are those things that you do with your friends in your home, and how do you morph it all together? How do you bring it together?
As everyone, my day is always beginning with a coffee. I mean, it's a routine, it's a pace setter, it sets the day it gives us the rhythm, and I like to start it with a good coffee. And it's also a breather during our day. I'm always moving, I'm traveling a lot and always busy, and I like to take that time when I'm home, when I'm also during my traveling, looking for a good shop and a good coffee. And it's a breather. It helps me to feel real right. And I also love sharing a coffee moment with my friends and family, because as you all know, after a good meal, we spend a good time around the table, having a good moment. And coffee is a kind of punctuation. It always, at the end, with a good dessert, you have a good coffee. And I think it's the last memory you will have from that moment, just like a final point. And this is what a coffee moment means to me.
No, it's beautiful, but it's also very true. I think the morning, we can all kind of relish on the fact that we were making coffee for ourselves, checking that off, but also maybe for someone else. But the evening, that's next level. Affogatos, maybe some Café Correctos or something, I don't know, but.
Sometimes I'm a bit weird. Sometimes when I'm just having a seat in a restaurant, sometimes first thing I'm asking is a coffee, an espresso, before starting the
My man, I love it. I love it. All right, Steve, I'm looking at you. I have one question, because if you don't know, he makes coffee off of his car. He travels. Was the home machine first in your home, or was it an idea for Café Nice to kind of incorporate it into a car? And then which one kind of came first? Where was your vision for all this?
Yeah, the home setup was definitely first. And then obviously operating online, I've kind of spent years building a community online and kind of wanting to share moments of the home with them. So the coffee setup is like the heartbeat of that, really. And then it was kind of for me thinking about, well, how do I translate this to something in real life? I can't really just invite people to my house. I could, but I don't want to. So then it was like, well, how do I get this feeling? How do I kind of, create this community in real life that I've kind of built online? And that's really where it came from. So I kind of filmed a series of restoring the car itself. And prior to that, I always thought, I can do pop-ups, I could put a coffee machine in it from having the setup at home. So even when I was building the actual bar that pulls out, it was like you were saying with your kitchen, it was all built around the Linear Mini, essentially. Where it was going to sit, where the grinder was going to go, how people would come and how I could chat to them and stuff like that. So it was all kind of around that as the footprint. So yeah, it was just a concept of like, how do I take what I've created online to be able to meet people in real life and actually have a conversation and share that passion for coffee, essentially.
I think we're dying to know, what is the secret? How do you go from digital to creating a human experience? How do you go from creating these amazing videos, these amazing coffee moments, and how do you push it to actually having people show up and say, wow, this is real, this is amazing, how did you do this?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, until Café Nice, like, it was hard for me to do that. I couldn't really think of a concept where, other than just meeting people, saying hello and catching up and talking about content that they've seen or that they've been following you for however many years or whatever it is, this actually, I felt like it was a shared passion, and you got to, share the love of coffee and the actual drinking of it and going, this is great, but having a conversation about it as well. So I think it's incredibly hard to do that, to take what you've built online and create something in person that's meaningful as well. And I feel like that's the most exciting part about Café Nice for me, is that it's that community that's been created and been able to take online in real life. Yeah.
Any thoughts for the crowd, and if they are wishing to do the same, what's your advice for them?
As in to go from online to offline to in real life? I guess get a coffee machine and put it in the car.
And which coffee?
That's how I did it.
And which coffee machine do you?
Yeah, or the beaker would work too. But, yeah.
I look to you as the photographer, the man that creates everything. Kind of the same question. How are you curating these coffee moments so that people want to follow you, but also allow for people to dream? I feel like so many people are inspired by your work. So what are your secrets? How do you build that story? How do you build that craft through your photography, through your socials? What's your secrets? I guess that's my question.
It's not easy, but I'm always looking for sense awakenings. I mean, it's all about pictures and contents on socials, but what I am looking for is to, have your sense, your feelings. I don't know how to say it in English.
No, it's an emotion.
I'm looking for emotions, because when you are looking, when you're watching something, it needs to be familiar, kind of way. And it's all about senses. And in my videos or in my pictures, I'm looking for that thing. I want the people to imagine what I am seeing and to feel it. Sounds, flavors. It's not easy to define, but it's all about emotions.
A lovely English word, it's got visceral. And I think it's something that you can't explain. It's just a feeling.
Yeah, it's a feeling, and also we can take a coffee moment for example. Everything starts with the noise of the machine. Then I'm really melody sensitive. I can say that, and I love sound of the machine, sounds of the fresh coffee drop into the filter, and the flavor, the smell, and the sound of the drops into the cup. And I'm looking for this when I'm taking pictures. I'm looking for emotions, and I want you, when you are seeing it, I want you to feel it. And just like you will have the cup of coffee or a plate, a good dishes, and you can feel all the things. Imagine.
I'm about to get up and go make a coffee real quick. Excuse me, that's exactly true. It's 100%. And I think that's those quiet moments, right? And so
it's nearly like meditation, isn't it?
It is meditation, really? Absolutely.
And I don't know if, I think Daisy might be in the room. No, she's there. So when our coffee machine at the altar of coffee arrived, Daisy came around to talk to Mark and myself about exactly how to use it and to understand the finer points of coffee beans, where we're going to get them. And in my diary, in my head, I thought, oh, God, it'll probably take about half an hour. I've made a cup of coffee before. And 2 hours later, mesmerized, we were talking about coffee. And as I said, and I'm not saying this to be cheap, you can't get this from an espresso because you stick a pod in and you run off. But what I have learned through Daisy and also Mark, and obviously having this beautiful coffee machine, is that it becomes a ritual and a little bit of meditation because it actually makes you stop and you are going through the process. And whichever other way you make coffee, you cannot beat that process because you have to get it right. And there's an enjoyment in getting it right. And makes a stop, which of course we never do we? And you can't have a moment as well drinking a cup of coffee with it in a plastic beaker walking down a street. And I know in Britain and definitely America, I think, there's a huge amount of that. And funnily enough, I was walking around Milan yesterday. I never saw anybody doing that. Nobody was walking around with a coffee because it's a fashion statement.
No, I love it. Absolutely. Steve, what's your thoughts on coffee moments? I'm curious to know your journey, how you ended up saying, one day, this home espresso thing, it's pretty cool. Maybe I want to expand it. What do you think about the rise of home espresso? How does that fit into your journey as a coffee professional? And kind of where do you think it's moving for your own kind of brand and what you're doing? And where do you kind of see yourself pushing into?
I think for me, what originally kind of got me into coffee was obviously I kind of found out about these specialty coffee shops, and this is 10 plus years ago or whatever, and it was the mystique of like how they would make it, and then they would deliver this essentially beautiful artwork, and you're like, wow. It was a mystery. So I think I've always been really interested in the process, and I think like you were saying about the ritual at home, that this sounds sad, but sometimes I go to bed at night and I'm excited to wake up and make a coffee in the morning.
It's not sad. You just had an espresso and dinner. Yeah. We wake up in the morning, we have another one.
Or you don't sleep, but then you go all the way through.
Exactly.
But yeah, so it's that ritual. It's like you were saying, for me, sometimes work and life is full on. It's a lot, and that is the respite, the pause, the ritual. And I think that's what's with espresso at home. I think that's what people are looking for, especially since the pandemic, where you couldn't necessarily get to your cafe, and that was part of your ritual, where you would go out and you'd go to your coffee shop, your local coffee shop, and then that was part of your daily routine. I think now that routine has become, for me anyway, at home. Like I said, I look forward to waking up and making a coffee, and then if I'm kind of going through work, it's another respite. I might walk the dog and then come back and, like you're saying, turn the coffee machine on for when I get back, and then it's ready to go. So I think, and one of the best things for me, and again with Café Nice, is it's the sharing of coffee. It's that community. So, I'll get texts from my friends being like, is Booker Cafe open? To come over and enjoy coffee. And I think that is my favourite part of it. It's almost like not a superpower, but when people come over and you deliver them this amazing cup of coffee, they're like, wow, how did you do that? And I'm like, well, you don't know about the thousands of hours that I've spent trying to make this cup of coffee. But yeah, so I think it comes down to the sharing of it, really, and conversations that come out of having a cup of coffee with a friend or family. So
I think something we like to think about is that home espresso is your personal cafe, right? And so our tagline is bring the cafe home, or born from a classic, right? And so for us, there's an idea of not just trying to make something new, but make something really familiar, right? To us, it's personalized to us. So this is maybe an off-topic question, but I like the idea of having like your cafe menu for your house. So obviously you have a cafe menu for your truck. What is your home menu? We know that we were making some affogatos on this side of the room, maybe some campanas, but what are you making? What's on your cafe menu?
Well, it was last year for my wife's birthday. We invited friends over, and I actually printed out like a special menu for people that come. Again, sad, isn't it? But something that I love. So yeah, we did like a special menu, and I actually did like a milk-based, like a flat white, but with cereal milk, and which was interesting. Some people loved it, but that was quite fun. So fun things like that. But the everyday is normally I start with, it's like my breakfast. I start with like a flat white and then go from there, really. But yeah, I like experimenting, so I've done a few things. But yeah,
cereal milk, flat whites. There we go. We now know.
It is good, honestly. It is, but it's not for every day. It's a special one, yeah.
It's special. What about you? What is the cafe menu? Guests come over, they see your beautiful kitchen.
Well, I think our guests are often in a bit of trouble, really, unless they can cope with a double espresso, because obviously life, that's the way it all starts. Daisy has taught me how to froth and make little pretty pictures. So, of course, I like to show that off as well. I can sort of do a bit of a heart and a leaf. It's not as good as yours, but I'm getting there. But I think that and then if somebody asks me for anything crazy, I sort of glaze over, and then I persuade them to try what I want to do, which is a double espresso, probably with a little drop of milk. I'm happy to go for soya milk. I tend to go for full-fat milk myself, but I can do other milks. And I sort of glaze over a bit and just, give them what I want them to have. And then they go, well, this is really nice, isn't it?
I love it.
I told you.
No, I love it. And I think it's nice to kind of sometimes show off your latte art skills a little bit,
Yeah,
It's there. I'm definitely a double espresso fan, but what's your cafe menu?
I don't have a menu for at home, but I think this is huge.
Yeah.
I think in France we don't have a common culture about coffee at home. Before knowing on that the brewing culture and all that thing, it wasn't so important. But now I have a mini at home with a micro with all thing. Machine makes all the work when people are coming to my apartment, seeing that beauty into the kitchen. I'm always asking them only one special coffee, a double espresso, without milk, without sugar, pure taste. You have to try it just like it is. Trying to find not perfection, because my barista skills are very shitty. I'm not, latte art master, but I have a good coffee. I have a very beautiful machine, and I know I can offer a very authentic moment and good coffee as well. So this is my menu.
I think the only thing I keep noticing is how big everyone's smiles are when they talk about their machines, their setups, their rituals. It's truly amazing. I'm smiling over here like, that's my morning. Wait, how do you know about that? You have a menu too? Amazing. So we're almost out of time.
Yeah.
Maybe some final thoughts. anything you want to tell, I guess, YouTube or the world out there in terms of who you are, what you appreciate about home espresso, maybe some future advice for someone that's looking to get into it or thinking about it, or they're on their coffee journey or customer journey to this idea of like, I want to be a customer of home espresso. I want to start to dive into that. Any thoughts on that?
Actually, can I just ask you a question?
Sure.
If you don't mind, with your hat on, obviously, as espresso at home, is that the difference it has made to the business, because people are now working in a very different way, that obviously since the pandemic, a lot of people are working at home, and that coffee moment, I think, and it does for me, because sometimes, my base is home, that coffee moment gives me a stop and a point to get away from a computer and to just go and do something else and have my moment there. How much has it made a difference to your business?
Obviously, La Marzocco is extremely proud of the diversification.
Yeah.
We came from cafes, and I think a lot of us come from the culture of you go out to make a coffee, right? But that also comes with the idea of waking up and doing something. Emails, cell phone, Instagram, trying to go through that whole process, right? And so I think for home, and especially for the craft of home, the stopping, the slowing down, to your point, hearing the grinder start off in the morning, that to me allows for a moment of meditation, a moment of zen, a moment for yourself to prepare for the morning. And then also you're completing something. In a day of checklists and everything else, you have to get a lot of things done. But to start the day off with doing something for yourself, having something that you really love that's personalized to yourself is one of the most tremendous things that I think we can ever offer to the coffee community. So as a business, I love cafes, and I love going there and feeling the buzz and walking in there and feeling that energy of what is actually happening in the city. But there's something about the quiet moments in the home that I think people are starting to smile about and develop in their homes, where it's, no, I'm doing this for me. And what are my preferences, and what do I want to see as I kind of move forward in my own coffee journey? And I think that is the most beautiful part of what La Marzocco Home is bringing, is that idea of, what do you want? And what do you like? And do you want to drink coffee at night or in the morning? I don't care. Do what you want to do, and do it for yourself. And I think that's the beautiful thing of kind of the plurality of La Marzocco, is that we have the commercial business, and it's wonderful, but we also have this really intimate thing that can create dreams for people putting in a truck, but also for your morning coffee and seeing what that looks like. So, great question. Obviously, I'm not passionate about it at all. No, I'm just kidding. Great. Well, final thoughts. What's your thoughts?
I think, as you said, I think if you're thinking about getting into it, I think just do it. It might seem like this big thing, because I remember when I first got my machine, it was quite intimidating. I was like, whoa, how do I use this? But then every day you show up, you just put the work in, you watch loads of YouTube videos or chat to people. The thing about home brewing is that there's no gatekeeping. Everybody will say, oh, have you tried this? Or this is the setup, or this. So it's very, insider knowledge, tips and tricks. I think just go for it, and I love it. Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
Will you ring Daisy? she can pass her now. Ring Daisy. I think the other thing that probably loops the three of us together is there is this whole sort of coffee community through Instagram, through social media. And of course, we all know things about algorithms, which sometimes shock us when you realize what you're being pushed. Because obviously, I've been looking at French bulldogs and facelifts and think, oh my goodness me, you're pushing these algorithms. But I guess, no, not completely. But in Instagram, because it's so visual, and it's a nice place to be, actually, Instagram is, on the good side of it. It's a really great place to be. And I, like the two of you, I think, I've learned so much. And I think it's a great community. And if you start clicking on a few Instagrams that are to do with coffee, baristas, and beautiful pictures, then more will keep coming into you because they've worked out your algorithm and they know everything that you're doing. But it's a good algorithm to be part of.
I love it. Thank you. Final thoughts.
Whoa. I would say go get that home. You need to, because you will make your coffee moment at home great than you've done before. And you will appreciate to share it at home with your friends or family and share it on your social as well. I mean, it's a beauty, but it's also a really good we say it in France, a rendezvous with yourself and with all your community. So go get that home.
Amazing. Thank you all. I would encourage everyone to also seek out a local office or come hang out with us kind of inside at Host or in our Out of the Box, just to get your hands on the machine, talk to one of us. If you have any questions, we're always here to help. But thank you, you three.
Thank
Super
you.
appreciate your thoughts and everything else.
Thank you.
Thank you all for attending.
Thank you. Thank you. Very good. Thank you.